How hard is it to reach? What are the requirements for Grandmaster, by the way? Because and what are the requirements for International Master? You mentioned a few requirements and so on.
Yes. So the first one is you have to know how to use a Shure mic and an arm. I'm slowly
You were
learning.
impressed by the Shure microphone, by the way. For people listening, we're using this Shure SM7B that a lot of podcasters use. I don't know why. And Michael Jackson on Thriller, which Grimes told me.
Really?
That's what I think. It looked a little different, but it's the same.
Wow.
Underneath it, a few musicians used it in studio. I don't know where it became popular as a podcasting microphone, because I think most broadcasters use condenser mics that look like really fancy.
Yeah.
This looks a little.
No, this one's great. It sounds really, really good. And I told you before that I wanted to use it, but it requires a external dashboard of some sort, and I'm way too lazy to learn how to do it. And my microphone doesn't sound that bad for YouTube and for Twitch, but this is a long-term
I still have to figure out how to stream stuff. I haven't figured that out, because
you want to go down into the world of Twitch?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
You just want to learn how to do it, just in case.
No, for no, not Twitch. No.
Do you know what we have over there?
So first of all, yes, it is. It's like I feel like The Hobbit going into like Mordor. Like yeah, Twitch is a very intense world, but there is useful cases when you should have your microphone work with like the processing chain work in real time, so you can do like interviews. And also I try to play a video game once a month. So I've done that like 3 times already. So stream that kind of stuff for like an hour. Like play Skyrim. I love playing Skyrim. I actually love the idea. I haven't done that yet, but apparently in Skyrim you can turn off the monsters and you can just walk around. So I love the idea of just walking around in Skyrim for a couple hours. And just like, because it's beautiful nature.
I see.
Do you know anything about those?
I know I know little about Skyrim, but
so it's kind of like chat. No, yeah, it's just beautiful worlds. So there's games that are able to create this sense of, the way you feel when you go hiking, a sense of nature.
Yeah.
It's not that they're ultra realistic, but they capture some majestic aspect of nature. I think some of it is also music, something peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like old timey, medieval type of music, and just the trees, like the wind, like, and then there's in the distance there's the mountains, and you can you have a sense of history that the nature gives you. You have a sense of space, like this. You're like this tiny little creature, and there's this big world all around you. I don't know how that's like an art for a video game to create that. It's not just about the monsters in front of you.
Yeah.
It's about this world and this feeling of a world. So I can just walk around and enjoy it.
I get asked this question a lot. Why don't I stream more video games?
Yes.
And I didn't know that such video games, first of all, existed. I thought it was mostly just various sci-fi-ish characters and shooting and objective.
Call of Duty. Yeah.
I've played Overwatch on stream. It's the only video game I actually played a lot and got decent at, and I couldn't play it on stream anymore because my teammates would use racial slurs in the voice chat.
Yeah.
So that is
one of the, because I've been thinking of talking to a few streamers, and they're a little bit, I don't know, as far as that community broadly does use racial slurs and seem to make them okay. But for the ones I would talk to are a little bit, they're just harsh in general in the intensity of language. And I don't know what to feel. Like, I don't want to be the guy who says like kids these days with their mean language on the internet. Like, you want to kind of adapt to the different communities. But at the same time, there's lines that you can cross, right? Like, if you make everything into a joke, because that's what they kind of do. Everything ends in LOL. Everything is funny.
Yeah.
And that becomes, once again, a lubricant that it's like a slippery slope that takes you to a place where you actually make pretty mean ideas, even evil ideas, okay, because it started as a joke. And so, I mean, you start getting into the territory of, I mean, because I've been reading a lot on Hitler and Stalin and so on, and you'll see those kinds of topic come up in that community, and it's like, oof, they have a very different perspective on that stuff. To them, it's just a fun joke, fun time. And I see that the contrast of that with Call of Duty, where you're shooting, and I love shooting and killing things in video games, but there's a slippery slope there too, because then just having visited the front in Ukraine, you get to see the real killing of people, and you see how one can lead to another. It's non-obvious, but there's a there's something that happens in video games where you're like, well, this is not reality. The same kind of things happens in war. Well, the people on the other side aren't really human.
Yeah.
It does become a kind of video game. And that same mechanism, I feel like I want to be cautious about our brain going down that road. So yeah, I do worry about that community. But there are video games that don't have such communities around them. I don't think Skyrim is an online component. People can yell at
Minecraft,
me.
I think, is relatively civil from what I've seen. A
Interesting.
good community. I think it's a lot of right now it's booming. It's a lot of young creators who are all seemingly quite close.
Yeah.
And I think the community then extends to social media. Some of them are intense, but who isn't? And I think they foster a more or less kind of good group of folks. But no, I completely agree. I think a lot of that stuff, and combined with the anonymity stuff that we mentioned earlier, totally dehumanizes the way people interact with each other, and it's scary. I don't know. Combine that with 2 years of some people barely going outside.
Yeah,
It's
with
not
COVID, yeah.
It's not a good mix. It's not a good mix at all.
I mean, you'd like to think that folks, it's like in their teenage years, kind of go through those and they mature out of it and stuff. So they start to realize the weight of their words. Like that's my hope. But we're all trying to figure that out. How the internet has changed youth. Like easy access to porn, easy access to like some dark communities,
Yeah.
where dark ideas breed. I don't know. But then again, I trust in the goodness and the intelligence of people at the end of the day. And I think kids will, now I sound like an old man, but it's good for kids to play with different ideas and then they grow out of it, hopefully. But then you have to have parents and good school and like good friends that kind of call them out in their bullshit. You need that. If you're stuck inside
Mhm.
under anonymity, maybe you don't have some of those signals.